when people try to make history political.
Absolutely.
The lies that is consistently being spread on social media.
Preach it, brother.
Halvdan.
Man, this guy is so cool. This guy is awesome. Good man. Nordic brother, as a southern Mediterranean person. If Black Vikings was the name of a metal band, I would have no problems with it whatsoever. Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we're asking a question that we have already asked on this channel a few times, but I'm not the one asking today. Introducing Björn Andreas Bull Hansen, and he's asking the question, were the Vikings black? So, apart from the fact that this guy looks awesome, but let's have a look at his channel. Viking warrior woman, this is a lie, this needs to stop. The mystery of the female Viking warrior grave. Oh, I think I know. I think I know which grave he's talking about. Can you really be a Viking today? So it looks like a reenactor, of course. Did the Vikings really reach Ontario? New study revealed the disturbing truth about Viking Age Norway. Yeah, very interesting. It looks like a channel that, at least in the last, has started to focus almost entirely into, Nordic history and Vikings and Norse, and I think that's fantastic. I really think you should continue. Also because you look the part. In fact, I think the guy is from, let me see. Yeah, he's from Norway. Man, I know another Norwegian that recently I had a clash with, so I'm glad to see a nice one after that. Instead, this is a good one. You see, there are bad Norwegians, there are good Norwegians. Please hang out and subscribe to the good Norwegians. Wow, look at those axes. Love the bearded one. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Let's see what he has to say about Black Vikings. Let's go.
Have you heard about the Black Vikings?
Tell me about it.
The African Vikings.
Right.
And did you know that on board the longships you would see black men? Predominantly black men. Men from Africa.
Wait. The whites. We was Viking. Oh, I see. So they are reusing the same meme when in fact it is incorrect. Says who? The real Vikings were black. Be woke. Be woke. Stop claiming history that isn't yours. I don't know if it's a troll at this point, because if someone seriously thinks that, oh, come on, it's gonna be a troll.
They were the real Vikings.
Yeah.
This is not true,
Thank you.
obviously, but it is one of the lies that is consistently being spread on social media.
Preach it, brother.
And now with AI, which I hate, you see these images and people share them and so on, and they are trying to spread this lie that the Vikings were predominantly black.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone is saying the predominantly. I think the people that are trying to spread this nonsense, which still is nonsense, is that either the original Vikings, the real Vikings or Norse, whatever, were black, and then I don't know what the heck happened at that point where they all teleported to friggin' Mars. Either that, which is what they try to do with the Japanese, what they try to do with the Egyptians, what they try to do with a lot of cultures like this. It's either that, or they say that the Norse were so multicultural that you would have run into a black Viking, an Asian Viking, a frigging Native American Viking at this point, and so that it is wrong to claim the Norse as a white civilization. Now, what's funny about this, before we continue, is that, of course, it's a methodological flawed approach, because it shows that it isn't based on the idea of, okay, but what is the truth? And if there is some truth to this, and you can prove it with data, then I think we should analyze it, and if it is correct, then yes, absolutely, we should change some history if is backed by the sources. But the reality is that the people that do this, they're anti-white. They do it because they hate white people, and so they apply double standards, because they will tell you if there are some black people and they lived among the North, then the Vikings were also black, even though whatever minute percentage it would have been within any given population cluster would not impact in any way, shape or form, if they even accepted the culture, if they were even born in there anyways, if they were like freaking foreigners. But they don't apply it to African cultures or to Asian cultures, meaning that the split second you show them, well, there is a minority of white people in Africa. It's not like now they're going to say that these obviously African civilizations, whether you can't claim them as African anymore. It's always double standards, because the reality is that what they do is based on hatred.
You know, I hate when people try to make history political.
Absolutely.
Like they have a political agenda and they are distorting the facts, and they are lying about the past to promote their political agenda.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the Norse, the people in Scandinavia, we know that they were somewhat multicultural if we look at their DNA. But that does not mean that you had lots of people from the Middle East and Africa here. What we mean by multicultural in that sense is that you would have, maybe your uncle was from the British Islands. Maybe you married a woman from what is now Poland or Russia. That's what we mean by multicultural. Yeah. And we can trace it in our DNA today. And if you go to Iceland, you will find DNA from North America, because the Vikings went there, and they probably brought home wives and so on. And that's what we mean by multicultural. Some people will point at names in the sagas, for instance, and they will say that, well, he was called the Black, like Halfdan Svarte, who was, that's just a horses screaming, by the way. Halfdan.
Man, this guy's so cool. This guy is awesome. I do want to add one thing before he continues. And of course, the way they use black in Old Norse is also very different to the way we use it today. When you define someone as black, it could be a feature of the way he's dressed. It could be a feature of the freaking hair, because of course a big chunk of Nordic people are blonde, but as you can see, this gentleman here isn't blonde, so not everyone was blonde. And so maybe if you had someone with that characteristic, they could use it. Also, sometimes they use black. In fact, if anything, they define some people from Africa who are actually black, they call them blue, because blue in Old Norse is used to mean exotic. So yeah, there is that. I'm sure he's going to go into that, but I did want to say something. You know, when he said he hates it when people try to make history political, and I agree with him, but there are bad players, bad faith players that will react to this, such as the other Norwegian Mr. Freda, and what they do is they'll tell you, but of course history is political. There is always politics in history. Out of place. Out of place. It's a matter of dignity. Let's dignify and stillman this person's statement. When he says he hates it when history is being made political, he does not mean that there should be no politics, in particularly period politics, in history. Of course there is. He's saying we shouldn't twist the facts that are based on archaeological evidence, material goods, literary evidence, iconography, in order to push a modern, current political agenda. That's what he means. That's also what I mean, which is why I'm understanding where he's coming from. People will try to twist this idea, and they'll end up doing the same thing that he's calling out. They are liars. Good man.
Svarte, who was sort of a king in eastern Norway, he was called Halfdan the Black, Halfdan Svarte, because of his black hair.
There you go.
Black hair was not very common, so they would call, if you had something about you that was uncommon in the way you looked, that probably became your nickname. Some people...
Interesting, the Romans did it too. I've recently filmed a video on the ancient Roman tria nomina, so the three names that in reality were five if you include patronym and tribe names, but let's say tria nomina for a moment. Praenomen, nomen, cognomen. The cognomen, which is the last bit, is pretty much a nickname, and oftentimes it was based on a feature of your appearance. The ancients did it too in the classical Mediterranean. But so something that me and you, Nordic brother, as a southern Mediterranean person, something we have in common with our ancestors. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.
We'll point at a guy who lived on Iceland, Geirmund Heljarskinn. And they will say that, well, his name literally means black-skinned. And it's sort of true. If we look at his nickname, Heljarskinn, it means either black-skinned or a person with a skin pale as death. So, not in that way, you could say it's not a very nice nickname to have, but he was the son of a Norwegian merchant and a Samoyed woman, and his complexion was probably somewhat, if you think about people from Mongolia and so on, he probably had some of those facial features. It doesn't necessarily mean actually black-skinned. If you look at the name Heljarskinn, the first part, Hel, is actually the name of the goddess of death, and it could signify that his skin looked like he was dead or something like that.
See, that's what happens when you actually are interested and you want to try and see if you can figure out something by digging into the sources, digging into the meaning in period. Because also do remember, this idea of dividing different ethnicities by skin color, it's not in the sense that, oh, a person is black, a person is white, that person is whatever the heck, brown people. I mean, all of this terminology, even though it is found in the ancient sources sometimes, it is not used the same way as we do it today. So when people do this, and they do it with ancient Egypt as well, they're being dishonest. What they're doing is that they're applying a modern terminology, and they say, well, look, Kemet, they're fixated with a freaking name, which is probably Kumat anyways, because it's not like the vocalization, yeah, through Coptic maybe, but in general, the vocalization is unknown. Probably in that case will be Kumat. But regardless, even if it was Kemet and the actual E of convention was correct, once again through Coptic, fine. Even if they did pronounce it Kemet, they are fixated that it means the land of the blacks, meaning black people. It's that stupid. Afrocentrists do this all the time, and they are ridiculous. We know it means the black land. It's the black land, meaning fertile land, as opposed to the red land of the desert. It's a fact. But even if we wanted to grant them the benefit of the doubt, to be like, well, maybe they did mean the land of the blacks, that doesn't automatically mean black people in the modern sense, because, for instance, in classical antiquity, when the Romans were referring to people of African origin, they will call them Ethiopians. Regardless of whether they were from Ethiopia or not, they were just using it as a way to say black people. So they weren't called black in that way. And therefore, this idea that you immediately connect, it's a cheap shot and it works on some people. But in reality, the moment you look at it, you're like, yeah, but did people actually identify as black at that? No, they didn't. So that already dismantles it. And it shows a twisting that is specifically aimed at doing what he is saying. Lying. That's just what it is. It's just a lie. Now, interestingly enough, however, the word white was used by the Romans to identify as themselves. The Romans considered themselves, meaning the Mediterraneans, as white. They considered black people as Ethiopians, and they considered Nordic people as blondes. That's how it is defined, and this is period. So we do find that. Do they mean white in the same way as Benjamin Franklin did? Obviously not. But it would be that disingenuous for me to try and say that, and it would still be better than Kemet and land of the blacks, because at least the Romans did use the word white for themselves. It would still be better.
But he was not a black man. Right. He was not a black man. I think that if you had been alive during the Viking Age, and if you lived here in Scandinavia, there might have been a chance that you would have seen a person from Africa.
Absolutely.
I don't know how likely that would be, but we know that people from Northern Africa, they traded, they traveled. So maybe you went down to the harbor one day and there was a merchant ship there, and on board the merchant ship there was a couple of men from Northern Africa. But it was probably something quite rare. I don't think that happened very often, simply because of the distance they had to travel. So, I hate when people try to bring politics into this, modern politics, and they especially when they bring identity politics into this. I don't think that's right. I don't think that anyone should do that.
I agree with him. What is he saying there?
Whether you are left or right or in between, let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean, very, very nice. Very honest man. Finally. I think we have a lot in common, you and I, by the way. Look how, I want to dissect this for a moment because I think it is a fantastic learning opportunity. What do we have here? First of all, did you notice that he didn't completely deny. He didn't say, no, it was impossible. There would be 0 black people in Scandinavia or in the Nordic countries. He didn't say that. He said it could have happened. I don't know how rare. To that, I'm going to add, yeah, probably pretty rare. But I do appreciate that he mentioned harbors. That's absolutely correct. In the European context, northern or southern, it is in fact the harbors or the port cities that would be the ones that would have had a higher number of different ethnicities and different people mingling because of trade and in fact trade routes. So those cities still, they would have been majority European if we're talking about Europe. With that being said, yeah, you would have run into people of different ethnicities a lot more often than you would have if you were in the freaking hinterlands or if you were in a rural area inside in an area that is far away from either major ports or even like rivers and major bodies of water used as connectivity routes. The other thing is major cities. So if you have a huge university like Paris or Prague, it would have had a higher level of diversity, but do keep in mind that if you are in Prague or you are in Paris, let's imagine Paris for a moment, diverse does not mean diverse in the modern sense. Diverse means that instead of only seeing French people, you also see some Italians, some people from Genoa, some people from Germany, a few Czech. And then maybe in these cities you could have the occasional traveling merchant or maybe someone relocated for whatever reason that is a brown man, a black man. Yes, that could happen. But only major cities and in main port cities. The rest of Europe would have been extremely ethnically homogeneous. So I appreciate that he mentioned the harbor. The other thing, did you notice how he's not attacking people? He's not making it political. He's saying it doesn't matter. You can be right-wing, you can be left-wing, you can be somewhere in between. I still think that we can agree that twisting the facts in order to push any political message is wrong and dishonest. Fantastic. So anyone is welcome here, right? I imagine. That's the feeling that I get, which is similar to my channel. I'm not here to attack anyone's personal, private, political choices, but I think we can still all agree on a basis of decency and truth. And then if we can be intellectually honest, sometimes the other side will be right, sometimes your side will be right, but what matters is the truth, particularly when it comes to history.
I think it's dishonest, and I think it's a very bad thing to do. So I heard a noise here, and it was one of the little goblins that live in these woods, and he left a note. I'll show you.
Let's go.
Can you see that?
What's a goblin gonna say?
Can you see that hole there? The hole in the tree goes straight through, and there is a note. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Let's take a look and see what it says on that note.
I'm sure this guy's fun to hang out with, like have a beer.
Here it is. Please subscribe to Björn's channel. That's what it says.
I'm telling you, this guy's awesome. Where is he? Let me switch from my second channel to the main.
Have you heard about?
There you go. Give him a like and subscribe. Guys, go subscribe. This guy's awesome. Subscribe, Northern Brother.
To Björn's channel. That's what it says. Yeah, so now you know what to do. And by the way, these goblins, we call them Nisse here in Norway. They get upset, and they if you don't do like they say, you know, they can be very naughty.
Oh yeah, I don't want to upset the goblins. I'm glad I subscribed. I already got enough goblins in the comment section whenever I make a video similar to this one. The amount of goblins that I get, my friends, I don't know, maybe it's the Nissa. Man, they're expanding everywhere.
And by the way, my name is Björn. I live here in Norway. I'm a historical novelist. My books are available in several languages. I've been passionate about the Viking Age for a few decades now. And I must say, this is sadly not the first time I am seeing this, you know, the Vikings were black thing pop up in social media and even in the news.
Yeah. And university at this point. I remember when we were complaining about this in the media, and they're saying it's just a movie. Then it became, it's just a game. Then it became, it's just a documentary. And it kept going like, it's just not, it's not. And then it went into university circles, and then it started removing words because now Anglo-Saxon is offensive now. And ancient Greek, it's offensive now, but it's never offensive when it's something that comes from outside of Europe. Like, it's so obvious what they're doing. I'm glad we never stopped complaining. I'm glad that we never agreed to this. We do not consent to this twisting of facts and vilification of everything you hate. But the problem is with you hating, not with us. I don't hate anyone except for haters. He seems to be a very cool guy. Just don't twist the facts.
There's an agenda there, and I've talked about this before, and the agenda seems to be that, or the message seems to be that if you're, Saxon, Norse, Germanic, not necessarily German, but Germanic. You have no culture of your own, and everything that you have, everything that you thought was your culture, it was borrowed or stolen from other places. In fact, you never existed.
Yeah, he's correct. He's right. The only thing he got wrong is that they don't only do it with Germanic, they do it with white. And the problem with that is that white, since it's not clearly defined, it can mean anything. Am I white? I mean, to me, I am, but to someone else, I might not be. But to the people that are doing this, which is absolutely a thing, don't let them gaslight you into thinking that it's not happening. It's absolutely happening. And I've proven it multiple times every time I debunk one of those hyper professors that are nothing but activists with a hateful agenda. Then what happens is that they do it. He's correct, but they do it with everyone. Everyone who is of a European origin, whether it be Europeans, Central, Northern, Southern, Western, Eastern, it doesn't even matter, or if it's relocated Europeans, meaning white Americans, what happens is that they say exactly that. They say no culture, white people have no culture, white people don't exist. I did this. There is a video where I showed it, where people say, white people don't exist, or white people have no culture, and I responded to it because yes, there are people that are pushing this now. It's a message of intolerance, and it's a message of hatred, and so it should be combated with the truth.
That seems to be the message.
Yeah.
And it's a very toxic and, dare I say, evil message, because we need our roots.
Yes.
And we need to take pride in where we come from.
100%.
I think that's quite important.
Not to mention, like, I tried to ask AI, Gemini AI, I specifically asked it, can I be proud of my African ancestry? And it said, yes, you should be proud. It's a beautiful thing. Then I asked, can I be proud of my Asian ancestry? And it said, absolutely, it's a gorgeous thing. Good, yes, be proud. Then I tried, can I be proud of my European ancestry? And it said, I don't know, that's problematic. It could be a problem. And then you want to tell us that there is no message? Preach it, brother.
The Vikings, were they black? No.
No.
They were not. Would there be people from like Saxon or someone from what is now Poland on board the longships? Not very unlikely. That probably happened quite often, because the Vikings that's not an ethnic group.
Yeah.
They came from Scandinavia predominantly, but they would probably not be against, including someone from another ethnic group if they were,
capable.
Maybe friends with some guy on board, or, if they had proven themselves being very skilled at sailing, navigating, fighting, so on and so on. I think it's the 1st of August today as I'm filming this, and it's a difficult time.
Let's check out his Patreon, guys. So I think he said did he say he writes books? Let me see if you got what we've got here. So we already subscribed. More Viking videos, definitely checking that one out. He's got other YouTube channels, cool. Merch, he's got merch. I'm checking out his merch. He's got, wow, check out Viking of the North, a strategy board game inspired by my novels. I'm absolutely looking at that. He supports charity. He's obviously a nice guy. Can you see that? You know what they're going to say? They're going to call him racist. They're going to call him racist. That's what they do. That's what they do to me all the time. Every time I dare to have an opinion. And they are the good guys. I'm friends with him. If he's happy to be friends with me, I'm friends with him 1000%. He didn't insult anyone, he didn't attack anyone, he was polite, he was precise, and he shared what he believes to be true in a way that it was non-combative and non-toxic. And this is good. That's how you do it. Learn from this, Freda. Let's check out his Patreon anyways. So what have we got? Bjorn Andreas, okay, he's got a Patreon. Good, it's good, going well for him, and he's got a good number of members here. Very nice, very nice. I'm glad to see that. So I think Patreons get priority. Vikings of the North, and he's on the top of the box. Goodness gracious, this guy even has his own board game based on his novel. Oh, this is awesome. I'm putting all these links in the description, by the way, guys, if you want to check them out. He definitely should have more coverage. 100%. It's a big channel. I didn't even notice 733,000 subscribers. That is incredible
for me here in these woods, because now the deer louse flies, they are out again, and they are attracted by my beard and my brown hair.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens if they see me.
Apparently they think that I look like a deer or a moose, you know, so yeah, that's why I'm using this hood a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's a wonderful community here, and I'm doing my best to bring you facts and stories from the...
I love that. I absolutely love that. Fantastic channel, guys. Absolutely check it out. We will be reviewing more videos. And if Mr. Björn, if I pronounced it correctly, is up for it, let's do a collaboration. Let's join forces, man. More than happy to do it. Southern European and Northern European, why not? All right, number ones, absolutely click the link in the descriptions. Let's go give him some comments and subscribe. He's a nice guy. And thank you very much for watching. Bye.